And joining us now is Regina Hess. She's a certified financial planner and president at Forge Wealth Management to give us tips on how to have a successful retirement. Regina, thank you very much for coming on today. I hope you're having a good holiday season. So if you could narrow it down for us, to just one thing maybe, what's the most important factor that leads to a happy retirement? What contributes to that feeling of fulfillment?
I think having a sense of purpose. We focus when we're doing financial planning, we focus on the financial side. But one of the biggest important things to think about is what are you going to do once you are retired? What are you going to do with your time? How are you going to spend your time? Who are you going to have lunch with? Who's going to change your light bulbs? And those are socialization types of questions, not financial questions. But being isolated and alone in retirement actually is a detriment to your long-term retirement plan, and it is not as healthy and helpful if you don't have those types of plans in place.
And on the money side, does retirement necessarily mean cutting back and potentially a reduced quality of life?
It just depends. I think that depends on how much you saved for retirement. Were you serious about saving into your 401k or your 403b plan? Did you maximize it? One of the things that you could do is every January, some of the 401k plans have an automatic button that says, hey, January 1st, we're going to increase your contributions by at least 1%. If you're over 50, you can also contribute extra to your retirement plan. Are you doing things like that? So it really depends on how much effort you put into saving for your retirement, and then also being smart about your spending.
So on the topic of saving, is there a general rule, a rule of thumb here? What percentage of a pre-retirement income should retirees aim to replace?
Yeah, that is a conversation that comes up a lot. And a lot of the research studies say somewhere between 60 and 80% of your pre-retirement income can be a good segue into retirement. There are some expenses that go away. You're not, going back and forth to work, so your driving is down, except for traveling, of course. You don't have to have the work wardrobe, things like that. Those expenses are decreased. However, you have increased healthcare expenses later in retirement that can make up for that. So there is a balance of that.
And how do you know? How can someone assess that they're ready to retire?
Well, I think the best thing they could do is actually do a financial plan, work with someone to figure out, do they have enough money? Can they retire now? Can they retire early? Do they need to work a little bit longer? How long will their money last? And, what do they need their budget to be for that money to last until they're age 90, 95? Because we are living longer and longer each year.
So in terms of preparing for retirement, what do you think individuals should focus on perhaps in their 20s, 30s, 40s in order to be prepared for retirement?
One of my favorite things is to talk to people about Roth 401ks or whatever version of retirement plan that you have through your work. There's a Roth version where you pay the tax dollars now, and then it grows tax deferred for all those years. And then when you take it out in retirement, you don't have to pay taxes on that money anymore, as opposed to the traditional way where you get a tax break now, it grows and grows and grows. And then when you take it out, you have to pay taxes on that higher dollar amount there. I think for anybody who's younger and they're starting out and they go directly into a Roth plan, or at least half of their contributions into a Roth plan, that could have a crazy impact on their long-term projections for retirement.
But, Regina, it's not easy, right? How can you balance saving for retirement with other financial priorities, like buying a home, perhaps paying off student debt and other debts? What are the tips here?
Oh, yeah. And it is not for the faint of heart, of course. One of the best things that I talk to people about is my 1/3 rule. Every time they get a pay raise, 1/3 of that raise goes towards their retirement savings. 1/3 goes towards their rainy day savings, and the other third goes towards spending and, living their best life. This way, it's money that you're not taking out of your pocket. You haven't had it in your pocket yet, so it's easier not to spend it. So that tends to help people adjust to increasing their savings rates.
And are there any differences maybe in retiring for single individuals versus couples?
Well, actually, yes, because there are studies that show that a couple will live longer than somebody who is single. So it just depends on how old they are when their partner dies. That could give them extra years on their life, which is great, but it also means they need more money. Whereas people going into retirement by themselves, being single, they tend not to live as long because, again, we go back to that isolation question and who are they having lunch with? Isolation tends to be a negative driver for retirement.
And just starting to wrap up here, any common mistakes that people make?
Oh, the biggest mistake that I think people make is taking Social Security early because you can take Social Security at age 62. Your full retirement age might be 67. So that's several years difference. The difference there is if you take it early, each year that you take Social Security early, it's about an 8% decrease per year. And it's a permanent pay cut in your Social Security. So over time, that is going to add up to a lot of money.
All right, and finally, what's the one piece of advice you wish people understood about retirement planning?
You are going to be in retirement for a very long time. So save as much as you can. It's not like you can go back to work when you're 80, or you shouldn't go back to work when you're 80. So maybe balancing out things that you want to do now versus later.
All right, Regina, great tips. Thank you very much for coming on today.
Happy to be here.